mask on, so I'll try to do the best. The meeting of the steering committee is being conducted electronically pursuant to Governor Bill Lee's Executive Order 16. I would ask for a motion that conducting the meeting electronically is necessary to protect public health, safety, and welfare in the light of the coronavirus. Do I have a motion? I have a motion, a second. I have a second. Rachel.
Commissioner Ely? Yes. Commissioner Cush?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Chairman Harris?
Yes. All right, let's begin with our agenda. First of all, like I always do before every meeting, is I like to bring up about our opioid problem that we have in Rutherford County. Since March, we've had 41 deaths, 18 suicides, and 367 OD calls. So I'm going to be getting together with Recovery Court and Drug Court and Probation, and we're going to try to come up with ideas to bring before this committee as to what we can do to try to get ahead of this. There's no easy answers, but I know that we have a good sheriff's department, we have a good commission, we have some good people and some smart people in this administration, in this organization, and I know that if we could get together and try to get over the fact of the stigmatism, try to get over the fact that this is ugly and this is dirty and all that stuff, because it's not. This is our kids, this is our parents, and I want us, and I am passionate about it, I am desperate about it, but I know that this committee can help and bring about policy. No matter what it is, we'll figure it out. So I want to move on. First thing I want to do is on the agenda is approve minutes. Mr. Vice Chair.
Mr. Chairman, I've reviewed the minutes. Everything looks to be in order. I make that motion for their approval.
Do I have a second?
Rather.
Have a second? Go ahead, Rachel.
Commissioner Cush?
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo? Yes. Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely? Yes. Chairman Harris?
Yes. All right, let's move on. Next on our agenda is liquor and wine by the drink. Commission, what I did is we have stopped the city from annexing, and we're growing. And one of the things that I was looking at is how we could create a revenue stream and get economic development. And one of the things that we can do this is liquor by the drink. Right now, all cities have liquor by the drink, and those taxes are levied. We get 60.8% of 50% because they have schools K through 6. But if we pass this, if we give it to the people to pass it, we're looking at getting 100% of all that revenue, which would help us towards our schools and not have to continuously raise property taxes every single year, which we haven't done that, but they ask for it every single year. So what I'm asking is, I'm not asking you to give me an agree with it or disagree with it. I'm simply asking for a resolution from this body to bring to the county commission and ask for a resolution to bring to the county commission to put it on the referendum to be voted on in the November election. Like I said, I'm not asking you to be for it or against it. It's simply let the people decide what they want to do. And we will need 2/3 vote from the commission. So I'm asking that if we have a motion to send this to the county commission for a vote. Is there any questions?
Question, Mr. Chair. This is Michael Cush.
Go ahead, Commissioner Cush.
Does this also have some language that has something to do with grocery stores as well? It gives them an opportunity?
Well,
Or
right
no,
now,
or is this just restaurants?
no, this is just restaurants, and it's right now grocery stores with the law that was passed by Tennessee can sell wine. So is that correct on that? So this would be liquor by the drink, restaurants, if any type of, I guess I could, I'd say bar, or, any type of business that's wanting to sell by the drink. So to answer your question, I believe grocery stores already have that opportunity.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me fill in some information that might be helpful. Mr. Doug Bodery approached me a couple of weeks ago and asked if it would be possible. I believe Sumner County and maybe one other county have already passed it and put it onto the referendum for November. There's so many days that would have to, I think it has to be done within the next week or so.
August 20th.
August 20th to be filed. But as he's looking for revenue to come back into the schools, so that's where we could designate those funds to come into. Back when Eagleville approached me, back when I was in the Senate, and we approved liquor by the drink in other locations, Eagleville's population was not large enough. And when Maple Street Grill moved to Eagleville from across the street here, they were at only about a little over 500 in population, and you had to have at least 1,000 in population. But there was another part of TCA which allows for a tourist resort facility or township that could approve liquor by the drink, and that's what we were able to pass for them as requested. And so the two restaurants that are in Eagleville, Maple Street Grill and I believe the Mexican restaurant, both now serve liquor by the drink. And then I believe Maple Street pulled back because the liquor by the drink bond was over $2,000, and he pulled back and is only serving beer now as opposed to distilled spirits because the bond was too much, and with the downturn in the economy because of COVID, he chose not to renew that. But as the county continues to grow, like in going towards Walter Hill, going towards Christiana, and going out towards Shelbyville, you're seeing larger and larger subdivisions because there was also a bill in the General Assembly that was passed that limits the annexation of cities going out and gobbling up large tracts. Every time a new subdivision would come in, the city would want to go out, not just in Murfreesboro, but all across the state, and annex that 600 new home facility to bring in the tax revenue. However, I passed a bill or put an amendment on that bill that said if you're going to do that, then you have to supply the same services that the city residents are getting. So if you want to annex out there, then the clock starts running, and you have 5 years in which to provide the same services. Sidewalks, the biggest cost is sewer. You can provide police protection and garbage and fire protection, but the sewer was the biggest thing in the cities, so they have stopped annexing and gobbling up just to bring in the revenue. So, but what we're seeing, you're going to see the explosion in the Christiana area. I think there's 2 new subdivisions, one of 600 and one of 200, we heard just the other night. So that's close to 700 people. You're going to start seeing more businesses, more restaurants develop in the county, where the county is able to retain those sales tax revenues. So if you see the point of where this is exploding, and we get to keep 100% and hopefully not put it back on to the taxpayers as far as tax increase. So what Chairman Harris is saying, whether you have religious beliefs or just don't feel good about voting for any kind of liquor bill, this is not what you would be voting on as far as a resolution is concerned. What you're doing is allowing the people to decide. You're resolution would strictly put it on the ballot and let the citizens decide whether they wanted to allow it in that respective area,
You know,
in the
one-
rural area.
One of the things that I looked at also is talk to some people is we would be able to have restaurants to come out in that area. We would be able to have people, more convenience for some of our people that live in the county. But again, I'm asking this commission, I'm not asking you to vote whether you for it or against it. I'm just simply asking for a motion to send it to the people and let them vote on it themselves.
Chairman,
Go ahead. Mike?
Chairman Harris, yeah, Michael Cush. As a longtime member of the Rutherford County Planning Commission, I will attest and vouch for what the mayor has just explained. The growth, the subdivision growth in those areas and other parts of the county are under extreme pressure. And, you know, you put that many new people in a new county area with, you know, no new grocery stores, no restaurants, no amenities, let's say, that's not good planning. So I would be happy to make a motion to send this forward to full commission to put this on a referendum. And by all means, let's let the people decide what they want.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a second, Commissioner Rather. Is there any discussion? Mr. County Attorney, you wanted to speak?
Just briefly, as a point of clarification, the wine in grocery stores, I think that's currently just in the municipalities within our county. And so
That is correct. When I passed that piece of legislation, it was based on municipalities, and Laverne didn't turn in their petition. They had to have so many people file. But the way this bill is written, has to pass by either or. You have to have a petition filled out, or it passes by a 2/3 vote. Am I correct, Chairman? Or is it just 2/3 vote by the governing body?
So just continuing on the point of clarification, so the 2/3 vote from the governing body, I do think that is proper for doing the liquor by the drink. In other words, on-premises consumption of alcohol. Passing that then provides your prerequisite to then do a election referenda for wine and retail food stores. So as I understand it here in the county, we currently do not have either retail package stores or on the premises consumption. You have to have one or the other first before you can then place a separate ballot item on the ballot for wine and grocery stores. So if the commission passes this next week, it would then go to the ballot, and it would be solely whether to allow liquor on the premises, liquor by the drink. If the public then votes to approve that measure, then at some later general election, there could be a second referenda election allowing for the sale of wine in grocery stores countywide, because you will have done the necessary predicate of doing the liquor by the drink. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yes. Commissioner Cush, did you hear that? All right.
I did. Yes, I did. I'm sorry. It takes
Okay.
me a while. My computer's a little slow to unmute. I thought, that's why my original question early on, I thought there was a something to do with packaged liquor that had something to do with the grocery stores in the county, and the county attorney cleared that up. So it's obvious we can't do both at the same time. The attorney has said we have to do one and get that in place, and then the next step is to go to the other, and that would be the package stores.
Yes, what we're voting on is for a referendum for liquor by the drink.
Yes, and if I
Okay.
need to restate that, if I need to restate my motion, I'd be happy to do that.
All right. Commissioner McAdoo?
So if that's the case, what are they doing in Sumner County?
Sumner County is, to my understanding, is liquor by the drink.
Just look
Rural
about a
areas.
drink on the first referendum.
Yes, sir. Is there any more discussion?
Mr. Chairman, this is Robert Stevens. I have a couple of questions.
Go ahead.
Am I recognized?
Yes, you recognize.
Thank you. First off, this only would be voted on by the people that live in the unincorporated area. Is that correct?
To my understanding, it is, yes.
Okay. And then has anybody studied whether we would be better off collecting package sale tax versus liquor by the drink tax? Is it better to do the liquor by the drink first, or is it better to do the package sales first?
Well, the reason that I went liquor by the drink is because 100% would go to the county. So I haven't checked in on the package, which is what you're talking about. So the reason I'm bringing up liquor by the drink. You good?
Well, is there a way we could get an answer to that before the commission meeting? Because if we could collect more money the other way, it might be better to do that. I don't know what the answer is. I didn't know that other option was available for us, but I would like us to verify that we could collect more money one way or the other if we're going to do this. Let's do the one that we collect the most on.
Mr. Chairman, and
Go ahead.
Mr. Stevens, I'd have to look at the particular legal question, which was somewhat implicated in your question. And I think that is whether the county commission can initiate an election referenda for retail package stores. I know that TCA specifically allows for the county commission to initiate such a referenda for liquor by the drink for on-premises consumption. However, for the election referenda related to retail package stores, that may only be the case that it can get on the ballot via a petition signed by 10% of the registered voters casting a ballot. So I can look at that. So it may be that it would be impossible to get it on for the county commission by next week if it really what's required to do that particular election referenda is to do the 10% petition.
Okay, I have a motion and I have a second. So, Rachel, go ahead.
Commissioner McAdoo? Commissioner Reed?
No.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely? Commissioner Cush?
Yes.
Chairman Harris?
Yes. All right, let's move on to the next agenda, next item. We have 3 library board vacancies. Commissioners, you'll see on your iPad, we have all those applications. We have 2 reappointments and 1 new. And I believe Miss Janita Bockham, are you on, Miss Bockham?
She is not, but I'm Rita Shacklett. I'm the director of the library system, and I'm here.
Okay. I can't hear. Okay, Commissioners, we had 3. We had Janita Bockham, Frank Lambert, and Philip King. Do y'all have a motion to appoint these to the library board?
I move with their approval, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Commissioner Reed, a second. Go ahead, Rachel.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely? Commissioner Cush?
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo? Chairman Harris?
Yes. Okay, let's move to the next one. This steering committee would like to announce reappointment of Charlotte P. and David Jones to the Planning Commission. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve. This is Chairman Cush.
Okay, I'm sorry, I don't need a motion, so thank you, Commissioner Cush. I'm just announcing the reappointment of Charlotte P. and David Jones. And these positions are appointed by the mayor. So let's move on. Recovery court and probation license. Okay, this one right here, we have Commissioner Steve Irvin, our late commissioner, was over recovery court and probation. And once he deceased, the mayor put 2 positions for his one. So we have 1 license. So here are the options that we have. Is the recovery court and probation, they each need license. We have 1. Here are the options that we have. The first license is $850 plus a background check. If we do an additional license and background, it'd be $850 plus background. Or we could put both departments under the mayor and we'd only have to have 1 license. So is there any discussion on this? So gentlemen, what we need to decide is if we want to do 2 license or we want to do 1. So is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Mayor, I know as we have gone along, we've had both of them under one department. This is totally new. Do you not feel like there would be a better situation that we had 2 separate licenses, each one of them have their own license?
Tell you what, I want to suspend the rules and allow Tricia Breeding to come up. Melissa. And Alyssa. Hey.
Your question, the license that he's speaking of is the DUI school license, and the cost of $810 plus the background check would be individually per department. If we have it in 2 places, for instance, recovery court, our intention is for at this moment to have classes once per quarter. So we won't have them as often as probation has them. So if the mayor has the license and we both operate under it, her office has stated that they're willing to keep the records and maintain the quarterly reports and would utilize that license far more than we would. If we were going to teach the classes every month as they do, then absolutely 2 would be fine. But I think it just is more cost effective to have 1.
And also to add, having 1 licensure for the county entirely would actually cover anybody that was licensed under the state to teach the Prime for Life curriculum at any department. So if the sheriff decided to teach this class over at the jail, having that blanket licensure for Rutherford County versus individual licensures would be covered. So they could actually go to the sheriff's department and do those classes there at the workhouse. So it would actually, having that 1 licensure would cover all departments under the mayor.
Okay, so what I'm getting, you think the proper way would be have 1 license under the mayor?
I believe, yes, sir.
Okay, you're in the driver's seat, so that's what I understand. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion that we have 1 license under the mayor.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Commissioner Elam. Thank you, ladies. Go ahead, Rachel.
Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Cush?
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes?
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Chairman Harris?
Yes. Okay, moving on. The next on our agenda is interlocal agreement to fund the local emergency management agencies. Commissioners, what this is that the cities agreed to pay a portion of our EMA director, which is Chris. What's Chris's last name?
Clark.
Carpenter. Clark. Chris Clark. You'll see this on the iPad, and the reason this is being brought up is because they kind of had like a gentleman agreement. I mean, by law, they had to do this. But what we need to do is we need to have a contract stating what each city will attribute. It is based on this right here. The EMA makes $133.75. I don't have my glasses, so if I miss something, forgive me. The contribution is supposed to be Murfreesboro 30%, Smyrna 11%, Laverne 8.5%, and Eagleville 0.5%, which pays $74,566.87, which is 50%. Rutherford County pays the other 50%. So what I'm asking is for the steering committee to agree and approve this agreement so that we can send this out to all the cities and the Rutherford County mayor. Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What brought this to light was some of the cities, finance automatically every year sends out their percentage of billing for the percentage. And it's been going on, and I believe, I thought Lisa was in here, but anyway, she actually went back and tried to dig up as much history that she possibly could, and it went back to 1980 maybe-ish. Somewhere in that neighborhood was the latest that she could find, and it was basically an agreement, a handshake between Mayor Ridley, Mayor Waldron, Mayor Jackson, and Mayor, I guess that would have been McFarland, I believe. At that time, Mac, you're the only one that's got that kind of history. So it was just a handshake, and these percentages are still the same. So we get a call from Mr. Peach, Jeff Peach, the attorney, and he said they couldn't find anything. The city of Murfreesboro couldn't find any agreement that had been signed to where they have something in file when the auditors come in. So basically, this is just putting in the interlocal agreement into writing to where we sign it, and that way when we bill it out every year, everybody has a copy of this interlocal agreement in their file. It's just clean up, taking care of business.
And when this was brought to my attention, I 100% agree. We need to have an agreement. So what I'm asking, is there a motion to approve this agreement sent to the county commission?
That was actually after we used to have the rescue squads, and they kind of disappeared, and that's when the mayors, in their infinite wisdom, decided to create the EMA for Rutherford County, and that's why, percentage-wise, all the counties and municipalities decided to go in together. If that makes sense.
Mr. Chairman, I think it's important that this committee right here recognizes the fact of what our director does and how involved he is with this county. If some of you, I don't know if you remember or not, the day he was hired was the day we had our first COVID-19 incident.
Yeah.
And we met here for our first emergency meeting, and he hasn't let up since. And in fact, he didn't see his office, I don't know for how long.
45 days.
In fact, he never even got the opportunity to move in it. His wife had to move in for him and take care of it for him. And he was actually working, he was also helping Laverne, because he was the fire chief for Laverne at that time, doing 2 of those. But he's the individual, like when Nashville also has problems and they're needing help from Rutherford County. I know when they were having the protest down there on the state capitol, they were needing light towers for the highway patrol. They called Chris, and Chris got them light towers. They were needing fencing, and they called Chris, and Chris had to get the fencing down there for them. And he's been totally involved in that. In fact, Friday I had the opportunity to sit down with him and have lunch for us just to talk about some things. And as we walked away from lunch, I said, well, what have you got this afternoon? He said, I'm actually going to go see my wife. And he said, it's been that long since we've had an opportunity to be out, because he's been involved in all of these different things. So I think it's important we developed this contract, that we have this, because I've heard the discussion about it was a gentleman's agreement. This day and time, gentlemen's agreements, are not what they once were. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion to approve this gentleman's agreement no longer, but for this contract.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second, Commissioner Rather. Okay, Rocha.
Commissioner Ely? Yes. Commissioner Cush?
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo? Yes. Commissioner Reed? Yes. Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Chairman Harris?
Yes. Okay, moving on. Next is Motivate Me Incentive Program. Sigma has come up with more stuff for our incentive program, and for me to explain it better, I want to have Ed Elam come up.
Good evening. I have Chuck Chappell with Cigna in the Zoom meeting. If you'd like for him to go through explaining it, he has a PowerPoint. You should have gotten it before the meeting, several days before the meeting. But, Chuck, if you want to give them a brief explanation of these Motivate Me changes that we're looking at making.
Yes, sir. Let me go ahead and pull up my... looks like I do not have host sharing capability. So what I'll do, one second. So basically with the Rutherford County Incentive Program, we were asked to kind of evaluate that program and see, how we could evolve and continue the success that we've seen over the course of the last few years. A little history on this program. We started with a health assessment and a biometric screening campaign. We averaged about 83% completion rate during that. In 2019, we enhanced the program and we added in 8 preventative measures, everything from annual screenings, mammographies, cervical cancer screens, things like that. With that program and with those enhancements, we've been able to get the program to an 89 to 90% engagement rate. So we've really empowered employees and members with this program, and we've given them the ability to understand what their numbers and their metrics are for that. So the natural evolution of this would be to continue to allow employees to have the opportunities to take it to the next step. So that said, let me see if I can get this to share. I apologize. Bear with me here.
Got it on your tablets.
Here.
Okay. Well, they've got it on their tablets, but...
They've got it on their tablets?
Yeah.
Okay.
And on the first one...
So on that... Sorry, go ahead, Ed.
On the first one, you'll see this is the 2019-2020 incentive points. And you can tell it's like a flu shot and other things that he mentioned. But our biggest thing, if you look at I think it's the next to the last page, when it talks about health coaching, focus areas. And what we're looking at is staying with what the 2019-2020 ideas were, but also adding the health coaching focus to that, which is going to be your chronic disease coaching and your lifestyle coaching. And I think that's on page 7. On your chronic is going to be heart disease, coronary artery disease, diabetes type 1 and 2. And then your lifestyle coaching would be stress management, smoking cessation, weight management, which would deal with high blood pressure, high cholesterol. And they would get a point for participating in these health coaching. So a lot of times, like, someone will go in and get a biometric screening and they see what their results are, but we're trying to look at the next step to see is once they get it, what can we do if their cholesterol was high? What can we do to try to do some coaching to help them with the next step to lower their cholesterol? And we just feel like that with our present points that we have, this can really add to it. So that's pretty much it. And do you have anything else, Chuck?
Ultimately, and it's just incorporating, again, a lot of the programs we currently have. We're just adding another option to that incentive program to be able to get to that, and focusing really on areas of chronic disease, heart disease, like Ed said, and a lot of those other areas, but also having opportunities for our healthier population. So for those that don't have a chronic disease or aren't eligible for things like the pre-diabetes program, they would have the ability to take part in a health coach. And those coaching experiences focus on 3 core areas, which are going to be stress management, smoking cessation, and weight management. And so a lot of what falls underneath that is going to be your nutrition, your high cholesterol, high blood pressure, exercise, things like that. They'll be able to work and set a goal with the coach and achieve that incentive through that option. So it's taking the already existing knowledge that we have with the program and applying it to an actionable goal that you can use to reach an outcome.
And like Chuck was saying, these coaching programs are already provided. We're just trying to see if we can get some motivation to get them to be used a little bit more often and tie into a healthier population.
Exactly.
Ed, I got a question. You said you're
Yes, sir.
focusing on 3 areas, and I don't know the answer to this, so I'm asking, how long does someone have to quit smoking for them to get a lower premium for their insurance? How long do they have to maintain it?
So this is going to be based on a goal that that individual would set with that coach. So every individual is going to be different. Everyone's going to have a person. So that's going to be setting a particular goal with that coach. It's not based off of a particular set period of time.
Well, like the Omada,
And I've also got
program is like 16 weeks.
Sorry, go ahead.
Correct?
Yeah. So the Amada goal that we're proposing is a 16-week goal. And the main focus of that is the first 8 weeks of that program is really building that relationship with your coach, working through that program. The last 8 weeks of that program are really that self-motivated phase where you're still working with that coach, but it's more on your own. And so you're coming up with your own program, things like that, and your own goals.
And we'll add the recommendation from the Benefits and Insurance Committee was unanimous vote to send this on, a favorable motion to send this on to the steering committee and the full commission.
All right. Do I have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, this is Jeff Phillips. Could I ask a question?
Yes, you can. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you. Is there a way to quantify results to make sure that all of these programs are not only perceived favorable, but we're actually getting results? Do we look at some statistics somehow, some way to say that, you know, we started this, that's pretty nice, but is people using it, and are we being successful at it?
I could speak to that, and I've also got Paul Huffman with me as well. And so your yearly reports and what we evaluate through Cigna, we're going to look at those statistics, and that's where we pull that information. So, Paul, you might be able to speak a little bit better to some of the guidelines that we use.
Correct, yeah. Through the annual reports that we provide to Rutherford County, we go through our chronic condition coaching and our lifestyle management coaching and determine the engagement percentage, if you will. So we look at the individuals who have called in and who have engaged in the calls with the coaches, and so we provide results on that. We look at return on investment from that in looking at kind of a holistic approach of all of our accounts and kind of determine the ROI from those that have engaged versus those that haven't. But just so you know, these programs, even though it's being proposed right now to provide an incentive for these individuals to be coached, you already have these programs in place today. The coaching is already there. People can already participate in these coaching programs today. So there's no additional program that we're adding or no additional cost for this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All right, we're looking for a motion to send this to the full commission. Do I have a motion? No motion?
I'll make the motion, we move it forward to the full commission.
I have a motion to move it forward. Do I have a second? Second. Have a second, Commissioner Elam?
Commissioner Cush,
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Reed,
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely, Chairman Harris.
Yes. Next on our agenda is the FSA rollover. This is for the healthcare flexible spending account, which is funded by the employees, and it's used in a calendar year for medical expenses approved by the IRS. The rollover amount allowed is a portion of unused funds an employee may have at the end of the calendar year. Right now, it is $500, and we're looking to raise that to $550. I'm going to let Ed talk on this one, too.
Okay, the flexible spending account is an account that is all contributed by the employees. The county does not contribute. They do maintain the flexible spending account, but they do not contribute to it. In order to raise the amount from 5 to 550, we have to have a resolution through the county commission, the governing executive body. So that's what this is brought to you before you now, is this resolution. The flexible spending account is an account that you can contribute to pre-tax out of their paycheck, and then you can spend it on certain items that qualify, and pre-tax. At the end of the year, because a lot of times people don't know exactly how much they're going to spend, it lets you roll over at the present time like $500, and we're asking, in order to be able to do this, it's an Internal Revenue Code that allows this, but we just can't change it on our own. We have to have a governing body that says that allows us to change it. So what we're requesting now is for the employees to have this change from 500 to 550. And that's what the resolution you have in front of you.
Any more questions? Do we have a motion for a resolution to increase it from 550 to 550 from 500? Do I have a motion? Since there's no go ahead.
I'll make the motion to increase the rollover amount from 5 to 550. And just to note, from what I'm seeing, the insurance committee voted unanimously to do this. And it's also bringing some degree of relief to employees.
It does.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? Rachel?
Commissioner McAdoo? Yes. Commissioner Reed? Yes. Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Rather?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely? Yes. Commissioner Cush?
Yes.
Chairman Harris.
Yes.
I think just a second, I want to thank Commissioner Ely. I know this is her last steering committee, and I just want to thank her for her dedication and her time that she has given just unlimited amount of time for this county, and just tell her how much we appreciate in the difference you've made over the years. Thank you.
Commissioner, thank you. I know we've only known each other for a short time, but thank you for stepping in some really big shoes. Let's go. Next on the agenda is litigation list. Commissioners, you have a list in front of you. Is there any questions? All right. Also, I want to inform the commission that after we have I adjourn, I have called an executive session. So once I adjourn, we will stay here. And we'll stay here, and we'll clear the courtroom so that we can have that session. Next, I need to inform you that September 7th, Steering committee meeting will not be on that date. We're going to have it August 31st. So the next steering committee will be August 31st at 5:30. Is there any other business? Commissioner Rather?
I know we've got to go into a session. There's a budget meeting, kind of limited on time here. But while I've got several of you in the room, I get 3-4 phone calls or emails on a monthly basis about something that we brought up months and months ago about handguns by employees. And, you know, I know pandemic and things have happened that kind of, you know, we need to focus on what we need to focus on, but I just would like some sort of update and where we are. Did it die? Is it moving forward? Has any work been done or whatever? I don't even know who answers that question, whether it's, last I heard it was Sonia and Nick were in discussions about something. So just, can I have an update?
Yeah, I can answer that for you. We have decided to move that to the September's meeting, so it'll be on the agenda for September meeting. I did not want to bring it up on this month because of we had so much on the agenda, and I think we need more information. So, Sonia, next month have this information, and then we'll discuss it. Is there any other business? If there's not any other business, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chairman, this is Jeff Phillips again. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm not sure you need to adjourn the meeting. I think you have to have the meeting in session to have an executive session. Is that correct or wrong?
Okay, thank you, sir. At
Can
this
the
time,
committee
I'd
have
like
an
to call the
executive
executive
session?
session, and I'd like to have the courthouse please empty.
Don't go far.